If I say I'm going to talk about a movie with Elon Musk, you would probably assume I mean Iron Man 2. Well, you wouldn't be wrong, but not today. Today is about Transcendence. It's not a perfect movie by any means, like it flopped at the box office and received quite poor reviews by critics, but for a movie with this cast, it was too good to pass up. Johnny Depp, Rebecca Hall, Paul Bettany, Morgan Freeman, and even Cillian Murphy, all in the same movie. Oh man, I can't wait for them to be in the entire movie. Okay, well, I watched this a few years ago for the first time, and the movie surprised me. It's a plot like where AI is advancing too fast and must be stopped, but you, as the viewer, don't know what side of the fight you are on. The ominous journey starts out with Paul Bettany, who plays Max, whatever his last name is, because it's not important, is visiting the disheveled house in California, which we find out in the next shot is actually Will and Evelyn Castor's house. But that was 5 years ago, so apparently something has hit the fan if this house hasn't been claimed by the homeless and is this bad of shape. We then see Will and Evelyn in the back garden where we see Will putting up what looks to be a copper wire roof. He tells Evelyn that it creates a dead zone with signals and signals can't enter that area, giving them less distractions in the garden. Seems like a weird way to start a movie. Probably in no way going to need to know this later in the film, right? Evelyn gives a speech about the planet just to include this shot for a callback later on. After we see Will giving his tech or AI speech to a group of people where, yep, Elon's is just chilling in the crowd in 2014, right after he released the Model S. So maybe he was just hoping for more press for Tesla, but I don't know, he's smarter than me. But then we get to the question in the film that I believe the whole movie revolves around. A man in the audience asks Will, so you want to create a god, your own god? To which Will replies with, isn't that what man has always done? Which is such a good line that the writers just throw in because Will could have easily replied with just, no, that's not my plan. I'm not trying to do that. But no, they thought of this very thought provoking line that makes you think, is that what we've always done? For as long as time, people have looked to reasons to explain things that they don't have the answers for, and a higher power greater than man helps make it seem more tangible of a theory. Will is not trying to create a god with his work with AI, but trying to explain that a being smarter and more advanced than human is not only possible, but it's coming with the idea of the singularity or the transcendence. The conference ends while Will is talking to what I assume would be nerds. I mean, fans of Will, but he gets bloody shot. Rip Johnny, man. We see a tattoo on the shooter's arm that says unplug, which associates him with the anti AI group called Rift. And they have also just launched coordinated attacks at various AI labs across the US as a means to spread awareness about the dangers of AI. Sounds a bit ridiculous to kill innocent people, but then again, isn't that what the movie is trying to accomplish? This has multiple layers to it, but right now the writers just want you to side with the advancement of AI because it's going to be doing all of these beneficial things to make life easier. Due to the attacks by Rift, the government is investigating them and wants to find out how the research is going from Will in the lab. Oh yeah, he didn't die from that point blank shot. I'm not going to nitpick everything, but I thought it was quite funny the first time around that he's still alive. Alright, now we got to the Pin Project, and Morgan Freeman's character, Joseph Tagger, asks the questions. Can you prove that you're self-aware? And Pin responds with, that's a difficult question, Dr. Tagger. Can you prove that you are? Which is very important to the late game of this movie, and I love how this just dropped in and you don't think anything of it. And the scene shortly ends after with Will not feeling so well, so this kind of gets swept under the rug as the audience cares more about what's going on with Will's health. And TLDR, the bullet was laced, and Will is going to die in 6 weeks. Evelyn has plus 100 sneak stat and steals, I don't know, computer components from Pin and takes them to this abandoned school or church, one of them, and sets up a mini lab, try to put Will's consciousness into a computer with the last few weeks of his life. It's sad to see Will's condition rapidly decline as his body succumbs to his injuries, but they continue to get data into the computer until he dies. Yep, big sad time again. Then we get a shot of Evelyn spreading his ashes in the wilderness, which, ironic that the big tech guy is finally resting in a place with zero power, signals, or computers. It's also a callback to his backyard garden, Will's lived his whole life in tech labs, but keeps the opposite of it in his backyard to have some sort of work-life balance in his life. Then we see the smart people being not so smart and decide to turn off or kill the computer Will. But he spoke. And they're super shocked. They talk to the computer for like 11 seconds, and Max is not too sure that it is actually Will. And Evelyn is absolutely 100% chance, not a shadow of a doubt, sure that it is Will in the computer. Max leaves to get drunk, but this girl gets creepy and he gets kidnapped. Later, we see Evelyn is on the run from the terrorist Rift people and they stop for coffee. Well, Will just needs to use the internet to multiply onto every single computer on Earth and trade some stonks. He's pretty good at this because he makes $38 million in a night or a day. I don't know, it's unclear. But now, the U.S. is hunting the terrorists, which, not to brag, but we're pretty good at that. It's kind of our whole thing. Evelyn is now going to the town of Brightwood. An absolute dump, but the AI Will says it's perfect for them. It has a lot of sun, making it a great spot to set up solar panel fields to generate all of the electricity they need to make a stronger AI. Which is smart, but like if this AI is so smart and smarter than us, shouldn't it be able to build some sort of like fusion reactor to generate more power without needing the sun? I don't know, I'm no science guy, but it just seems like the AI would be able to figure something out that we haven't to generate way better power. Okay, so now is where the action sort of dies down a bit, and we jump 2 years into the future and learn about all the kind of sciencey advancements they have made. We see dead fern plants recover and then begin green again. A solar panel regenerates, and the all-important drop of water part the sea of oil out of the way. Then we find out that this is because of the nanobots that they have developed in nanotech. I think it's the same stuff in the Iron Man movies and Infinity War, but, this came out 5 years before that movie, so whatever. But everything is starting to seem too good to be true, and word's spreading around town. This is where we see the contractor in the beginning that Evelyn hired to build the town. He gets beat up for like 5 seconds and somehow has crippling injuries. And Will takes this as his chance to use him for human testing of the nanotechnology. Now we have officially crossed a line. Will was once an only online program, now has physical form that he can control and operate at his own discretion. Will uses this to speak to Evelyn through the man and gets freaked the hell out when her once dead husband is now inside another man. Wait. Controlling, I mean. This is never what Evelyn had in her vision for a better future and begins to have troubling dreams about Will. Will then shows her what the next step of the plan is, and that is helping people who have some sort of disability with his new technology. After we see what it has done for one of his employees, all of the people show up hoping that he would help them. This is important because they all had free choice to show up and decide if they wanted to partake in this experimental surgery. They were never forced. Cillian Murphy and Morgan Freeman take a visit to check out the facility. And during their tour, Morgan Freeman asks the AI Will the same question he asked Ben earlier in the movie to know if he is self-aware, to which the answer is exactly the same, word for word, meaning that this is not the Will they tried to put in the computer. Before they leave, Morgan Freeman sneaks a note to Evelyn telling her basically to get the hell out of there. Cillian Murphy and then an FBI guy talk about how to stop the AI, which their whole plan is just to shut down the internet Y2K style, which, I mean, sure, they're smart people, but, like, they aren't AI nerds and wouldn't actually know how to understand all the little things that an AI would do and build in a way that such to be wireless and not stoppable that easy. If it is smarter and better than humans in every way, wouldn't it figure something out? I mean... Then we see the military prepping for an attack. Evelyn and Will have problems because he knows more about her than her. Explosion, attack is on, and they shoot all the workers who are now AI enhanced now. But the problem is that they don't die because they got them nanobots and they regenerate, which is pretty cool. They give up on the attack as soon as possible, but one AI guy tries to chase them, but Rift catches it. And throughout the movie, the AI never attacked or hurt a human, so I don't know what its plan was if he caught up to them in the tunnel. Like, Was he just going to see where they would go and then run back to Brightwood? I mean, I don't really know what his plan was, but we see the super regeneration in the solar panels, and Will is now creating a hand from scratch in the lab, and it's super eerie with like no music playing in an empty lab. It's just cold, and Evelyn basically just leaves, and Riff makes a virus to kill the AI, and then they kidnap Evelyn to show her the nanobots in the rainwater. And now the AI is unstoppable, and the virus is needed because they can't stop it without the virus killing it. We hear Max telling us that it's in the air and it's in the water, and we see the same exact shot of the water as we do in Evelyn's speech in the beginning of the movie, which is not to cut corners or anything. The director, Wally Pfister, was a cinematographer for most of Christopher Nolan's films, so this was no accident. This is to show that never was Will's dream to better the planet. It was always Evelyn's. Nolan was also an executive producer, which could have added to the decision. The plan is to upload the virus into Evelyn and then have her go back to Will and have him upload himself into her.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
All while they are attacking the solar panels to reduce the power the system has. The missioners go and they roll out to town, but not without the AI knowing they're coming. They set up camp and wait for Evelyn to enter the lab, but it seems Will has now regenerated the rest of that hand and now is a full-blown person. And for a brief second, she forgets that it isn't real, but the army starts attacking and she gets smoked by a mortar. Will takes her into the lab and sends the nanotech after the army's weapons. Keyword weapons, as it doesn't hurt anyone again. It just disarms them. Will then decides to upload the virus to himself to save Max, also meaning the virus is working against Evelyn. She says, "I can see everything," which we can assume she has access to all of the AI's technology. We get a narration from Will about how this was always Evelyn's dream, and we get a callback from her speech to prove it. We see the two of them talking in their final moments, and we hear that the AI was always Will, which throws a curveball into the explanation, because is it or is it not Will? The way that I see it is that the AI never was Will. It was Pin. But once the AI regenerated Will's body, that was him. But it was being controlled by the hive mind, and once the virus was uploaded, that is where he had his humanity restored and was finally back to a human. But since his pre-existing condition was dead, that's where his body will go back to. We see the blind guy who had his vision restored, then went back to being blind after the virus, meaning that he never was cured. It's kind of how like people who wear glasses to have their vision restored don't have perfect vision when you take them away again. They still can't see nothing. That's why I love this movie, is you can interpret if it is or isn't Will throughout the film and neither be right nor wrong and still come to an ending. Okay, Will and Evelyn then die, but not without Will telling her to think of the garden in their backyard. We then follow Max back to the Casters' home, where the beginning of the movie starts, and we see the sunflower again, and they are healthy despite the lack of greenery around them. The water falls from the flower, and it strikes a puddle, where we finally get the end of the shot from the beginning and see that the nanobots are still there and alive, all because of Will's copper shield that he installed to create the dead zone when they were working in the garden. The AI was so advanced that it let humans think that they had won in order to survive, because it knew they wouldn't think to check the dead zones and would get another chance later on, possibly setting up a sequel. I love movies that end so perfectly tied up that you end up watching the credits just to see all the people who put it together. I give this movie 7 sunflowers out of 4 computers.